Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. How's it going? It's been a few days. So today actually I got a little echo. Hang on. Oh, I'm watching myself. That's weird. Anyways, today we've got our weekly. This is our first weekly. It's called episode 2, weekly 2, but it's our first full week that we've been doing this, so we can actually sit down and break down the week and all that. Usually we do this on Sunday nights, but we went a little bit longer this time to conclude the draft, and so we could actually encompass the whole week. So I'm going to go ahead and bring the fellas in here. What's up, guys?
What's up, brother?
Tuesday, April 30th, the beginning of a new week. Glad to be back with y'all again. A lot of exciting stuff today. So to get the housekeeping out of the way, of course, join us on Reddit at the WWE community. Come join in all the fun WWE-related conversation. Thanks to our friends at Ascendant for graciously donating us some beautiful audio. And, of course, we're going to be covering 22 through 29 April. So 2 Raws, and NXT, a SmackDown, all the minor shows. And we're going to try to find a way to fit all of that into an hour. So wish us luck. So this will be fun. It's our first time doing the full week, so it's going to be interesting trying to figure this out. What I was doing was, while I was watching the shows, I was taking notes on my phone, and I ended up with like 11 pages of stuff. So I wrote down stuff about promos and everything. So I don't know. We'll figure it out as we go, I guess. So why don't we start with the minor shows before we jump into the major shows, and we can kind of get those out of the way. So I have Speed here, and obviously we made our predictions last time we were on here. I'm sure probably everybody in the world has already seen a spoiler, but we won't spoil it just for those who are listening who haven't heard it yet. But we can at least say that Ricochet won the match against JD, and Bronson Reed and Gargano are up next. So how are you guys feeling about it? Pretend like you don't know who's going to win.
I was gonna say, I think it's a good concept that they're doing for a social media show. Three-minute match, doesn't take up too much time. You're gonna get a lot of clicks and views on it. And then another thing too to point out to people, it's not just Wednesday this week. It's gonna be Wednesday and Friday for the finals. So it's a little different schedule upcoming this week for Speed, in case anyone doesn't know.
I saw an interesting comment. Somebody said they feel bad for Samantha Irvin because Ricochet finishes in less than 3 minutes.
Oh, jeez.
That's about 2.5 minutes longer than freaking Braun Breaker's matches go.
Yeah, I'd look forward to talking to that. They're giving that dude the Goldberg treatment, it looks like.
Yeah.
But I'm digging the whole Speed concept too, like bringing people into social media, people that don't have time to sit down and watch full episodes 12 nights a week.
Exactly.
They can tune in while they're on their lunch break, whatever, watch a couple matches, and enjoy it.
Yeah, call it a day. Easy stuff.
Yep.
So pretty cool concept. It'll be interesting to see if that continues on social media, or if they'll randomly pepper in like Speed rules matches into the main shows or something, which I think would be cool for a live audience. Yeah. I mean, even if they don't televise it, like, it's pretty cool, because you don't want to have somebody win this belt and then do nothing with it. And it'd be like the greatest Royal Rumble belt. Like, it's cool on your wall, I guess.
Even if they don't throw it into like main shows like Raw, SmackDown, or pay-per-views, have it on pay-per-view or premium live event and pre-shows.
Yeah, exactly.
Kickoff show.
Yep, the kickoff show would be great for something like these, because they, have all the montages and all that, and throw a 3-minute match in the middle and be done with it.
Word, yeah.
Because you can still air it on X after we see it. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
Because I mean, look, we have Main Event, which has a couple of matches. I mean, that would be a great place that you could throw some Speed matches for the live audience. Because I mean, these two, I mean, I watched Main Event, and I watched it before, kind of, but not all the time. Now I'm watching it more regularly, and I forgot how much filler there is in there. Same for Level Up. For Level Up, they played like the whole women's battle royal. So these matches are fillers. Ivar's single competitor is interesting, though. Good, I guess, because the pregnancy and all that of his partner's spouse. So I guess we can take him more seriously now as a singles competitor. But that dude can move.
Yeah, no, I think another thing that for main event too, which I'm not a fan of. So say you got Peacock already for the premium live events, you only get the 3 weeks before main event. You have to go on Hulu to watch the main
Mhm.
one. I think they get a lot more viewers if they just aired that week's main event on Peacock, without a doubt.
Yeah.
I know for us, we have a gang of kids, so we have all the streaming platforms. But like, some people just pick one or two that they like. I mean, some just have Netflix. I mean, so the content is definitely spaced out. It's kind of all over the place. Level Up, I watched on Hulu as well, and Main Events I watched on Hulu. So, I mean, it's kind of all over the place. It would be easier to. That's why I don't get why they got rid of the WWE Network app. It just
Yep.
seems like it would be more cost effective for them to run their own streaming platform and take all the money. Like that's how I do it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
completely agree.
Yeah, it was a good win for the Creed brothers, though. I think with Chad Gable alluding to last night, the 2-for-1, I think they'll be the next #1 contenders. Also, not to jump ahead, supposedly, but seeing we have the Creed brothers right here, and they weren't really featured much at all on Raw last night. I figured I'd bring it up that I think they're going to be the new #1 contenders for the tag team championships with the 2-for-1 deal that he was making with R-Truth.
So
I
for
think
main
so.
event, a pretty quick match. Ivar defeated Apollo Crews, and then the Creed brothers defeated Gallus. A very good showing. The Creed brothers are. I remember when I first started watching them when they were first coming up in developmental. I was like, these guys are going to be something. And then watching them on main event, like they're finding their footing. They're getting really good. They remind me a lot of watching the Steiner brothers like back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm starting to, get behind them a little bit for a good push.
Yeah, and they can move, and they would be perfect. I mean, if Gable's going heel, like ditch the rest of them. I'm sorry, Otis, but ditch the rest of them and bring on the Creed brothers and just have a go with it.
Yeah. The way things are going too, I think Apollo Crews could be the next victim/opponent for Braun Breaker.
Like, what is? I don't know. I mean, I missed when he was acting like Black Panther, like. The Nigerian Prince gimmick was like my favorite thing I think he's ever done. I hate that they got rid of that. I know a lot of people hated on it, but like I thoroughly enjoyed that.
That was like the only character that he had or story that he had that actually, gave him that kind of push a little bit, and then it fell off.
So cruising into Level Up on Friday, a pretty decent card. I mean, Jakara Jackson beating Ariana Grace, Jada Parker beating Carly Bright, and Malik Blade and Idris Inofe defeating Dante Chen and Dion Lennox. Of those, I mean, I'm not really too sure about the Carly Bright character. I was sitting there watching that match, and I was like, why is she smiling so much? I don't know. I mean, I get that, blonde females is kind of a thing, but I don't know. I mean, my takeaway from Level Up is just how dominant Jada Parker is.
Yeah. I thought that was a big win for Jakara Jackson too over Ariana Grace.
A lot of potential with her. It was interesting. Do you know who Ariana Grace's father is?
No.
She is Santino's daughter.
No way, really?
Yeah.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, I was. I saw that mentioned the other day, and I was like, "Oh, okay." They got a lot of multi-generational talent coming up. It's really cool seeing them. She's pretty good. I mean, she has potential. Like, comes from good stock.
So for the Level Up on Hulu, can you watch it after the fact? Because I know with Peacock, you have to watch it at 10 o'clock live on Friday nights, right after SmackDown.
Yeah, Level Up I watched Saturday morning.
Yeah, because I got it offline last night, but I didn't.
Yeah,
I wasn't able to get it off Peacock.
yeah, I watched it on Hulu Saturday morning. Main Event I watched. I think I watched it like Friday. I waited a little bit on that. A lot of the minor shows, I just try to do them all in like a block because most of it's just filler stuff.
Yeah,
so
you can fast forward. Yeah,
I skip a lot of it so that I can go through a lot of those. So that was a lot easier for me. So yeah, some pretty decent minor shows this week. So taking it all the way back last week to Raw. We'll just run down these results and then kind of weigh in some thoughts here. Becky Lynch is now your women's world champion, winning the Battle Royal. I have thoughts. The Awesome Truth defeated DIY to retain the World Tag Team Championship. The New Day defeated Imperium with an interesting ending. Sheamus defeated Jobber Nakamura via pinfall, and Andrade and Ricochet defeated McDonough and Santos Escobar via pinfall. I guess kick off the Women's World Championship Battle Royal. What are your thoughts about the outcome for that one?
I was very surprised. I did not think Becky was going to win, seeing the status of Seth. I thought they were both going to take some time off, and I thought it was a nice way that they incorporated Nia Jax getting eliminated by not everyone throwing her over the top rope, where she was going for the Annihilator and ultimately failed, which cost her the match, where you don't even need the Annihilator in this type of match. It's a battle royal. You're not going to pin or submit anyone.
Yeah. I was a little surprised, but then after thinking about it, Liv Morgan has the, her revenge tour, and she wants to get back at Rhea Ripley. So what they're doing at that, and I know we'll probably touch on it, but Liv doing her story with Dom and the New Day, as we saw last night,
with the backstage sneak off in the
during the Jey Uso interview. Yep.
Yeah, I kind of thought, now looking back at it, Becky Lynch is the best person to hold the title right now. She can feud with anyone. Liv Morgan can stick with her, feud with Rhea in the Judgment Day and trying to infiltrate, everything Rhea loves. She's going to take over thing that she said, and just interested to see how Becky Lynch is going to hold it until Rhea comes back, who she's going to feud with, what storylines are going to go from there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I thought Nia had it. I really did watching that. I'm
glad she didn't.
with the immortal table that night, and I really thought she had it. I was surprised.
Favorite spot of that, was the Chelsea Green spot, where she got eliminated, popped back up, and then they told her to get back. And she's like, well, all right, I'm going back in. That was actually very, comical and entertaining. I love what they're doing with her. Can't wait to see what they, do going forward there.
So Awesome Truth and DIY. It's good to hear Truth rapping again. I said it before. I really hope they're going to let Miz start doing a little bit. I mean, we all remember the video with Johnny Drip Drip. So I'm hoping that he'll get some rapping action in there. I wanted DIY to win, but I don't know. Probably maybe too soon. They just put the belts on them, so they may make them wait a little bit.
We could even be on the verge of a DIY breakup, though, after the fact. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but there was definitely some tension there between Ciampa and Gargano after the
I don't know
when Ciampa would shake his hand.
My heart's not ready. I don't know. It's like a parent breakup. It was so hard to watch.
Mommy and Daddy are fighting again, but yeah, I can't wait to see what Gargano's response to what Ciampa did is going to be when they move over to SmackDown.
I think probably my favorite segment of the week, though, is the New Day and Imperium match. I mean, let's just gloss over the match. I mean, the match was fine, but the ending. Yeah. So,
yeah.
Kaiser turns on Vinci. But what's interesting about that, and we'll get to this in the draft later, is that Vinci's over on SmackDown now. So there's no payoff to that.
Mm.
I thought the same thing. I expected him to stay on Raw, them to feud, but spoiler alert for the draft, when Dragunov got drafted to Raw, I figured he's going to join Imperium and the family's going to help Vinci.
I mean, the only thing I can think of is that it's a long shot payoff, and maybe Dragunov will feud with Walt Gunther a little bit, and then I guess maybe at some point Vinci just shows up and helps Dragunov or something. I mean, it's not unheard of for people to cross brands. So
yeah.
They might be trying to play it out to a higher pay-per-view than Backlash also, just like they did with the Usos, not putting it right after SummerSlam, waiting till WrestleMania, which was a poor decision when you look at it in retrospect. But they could be trying to do something like that too, where they're going to put that match later on.
I feel bad for Vinci. I hope they actually do something with him. I mean, if he's going to be over on another show, hopefully they'll do something with him. I mean, we'll look at the rosters in a little bit and kind of theorize about what can happen. But so this next match, Sheamus and Nakamura before the match, there was a nice little promo. It's not really a result, but I made a note with Drew McIntyre, and my favorite line of the week. We may have to add a segment like promo of the week or something. I think that was promo of the week because the crowd was doing their what chants, and McIntyre said, "Say what if you French kiss your cousin?"
What?
Yep.
And the most complex relationship you've had is with your right hand. And
Yes.
burger after burger after burger.
Yeah, we can't forget about that one.
I love how Sheamus, though, I don't know if you follow him on socials, but
Yeah.
his responses after, having him in the Wendy's logo, but then saying when he wins the King of the Ring, he's going to be pretty much be the Burger King.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Just
Great.
incredible work. So I'm interested to see the potential there and what they do. McIntyre's had a hell of a week. I mean, we'll cover Raw in a minute from yesterday, but man, I'm coming around. Like, I'm coming around to this guy. I always found him to be kind of generic, but like I like Twitter bully McIntyre. It's really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was going to say with Nakamura, you did him dirty earlier, calling him Jobber Nakamura.
Yeah.
I know, and I get it. He's getting older. He's been around a while, and like, I mean, he draws a good check. He's got a good contract. He shows up. He's on TV. Like, I mean, who knows? He may be fine with that aspect of it. I just don't feel WWE ever did him well.
Justice,
yeah.
Yeah, I think going to SmackDown is going to help him a lot, though. I think he's going to be able to do more over there than he has done on Raw, say since December, because it was after him and Seth had their feuds when they started having him lose all the time.
I feel bad. I think a lot of people that watch WWE are, that's how they view him. But like, if you branch out and go on YouTube and look up some of his matches in Japan, like, dude's a monster. Like, he can go.
His downfall was signing with WWE during the Vince era.
Yeah.
Because Vince like buried him, didn't push him, didn't give him anything interesting, which in turn made the fans lose interest. Because at the beginning, when he first came over from New Japan, he was amazing. Intercontinental champion, all that stuff. But then Vince buried him, and like I said, the fans lost interest, and that just progressed over time to where he just fell through the cracks and people stopped caring.
Yeah, so I hope they do something with him. The night ended off with a decent tag match. Andrade and Ricochet defeated JD McDonough and Santos Escobar. It's funny. My favorite part of that match wasn't the actual match, but the "shave your mustache" chant towards Dominic from the crowd.
Yeah, they're gonna use that as a jab towards him, I think, going forward, based off what we saw this week too, with the Ray promo.
Another thing I had actually I can segue into NXT from there. So the stages are getting very minimalistic, and I noted this when I was watching NXT that NXT has a better stage now than the main rosters do. Like, I don't get it. It's very minimal. I thought it was just for smaller arenas after the pay-per-views, but it's still there. Same thing. Super basic.
After WrestleMania and the press conference, Triple H said, "I don't want to show like the biggest light board, like the newest display and video and all that stuff to fit more fans." And I thought if they were going to do that, they would open up those seats behind the video board, but they haven't really done that since the Raw after Mania, from what I've seen.
I remember going to some shows back in the day and being behind the board. Like, some of them. Not that well, but some of them were actually pretty decent. So the seats are not the best, but to kick off this NXT, a pretty nice tag match. I mean, obviously one of them, that's interesting that one of them actually got called up, as we saw yesterday. Not, I was hoping Tatum Paxley was going to win that match.
Same here. I'm sad too. We're not going to really see Tatum and Lyra feud now either. I thought we were going to get into more of a story with that. We're not going to see that now with her getting called up. I'm very disappointed personally myself.
I was surprised Roxanne didn't drop it and her get called up.
Right?
Same here. I'm shocked too.
That was my prediction for, one of the bigger ones. Her and Dragunov were going to be my first two picks to leave NXT.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
give her time to build her character, give her a couple months. They'll end up calling her up eventually before the next draft. So
So to run down these, Roxanne Perez obviously retained her title in that triple threat match. The family defeated the No Quarter Catch crew. Fallon Henley defeated Jada Parker. Saul Ruka defeated Blair Davenport. Lexis King defeated Baron Corbin. And Trick Williams, the new NXT champion, defeating Ilya Dragunov. So I guess the family match, the next one, that gimmick to me is still kind of played out, but man, Tony D, that dude is talented.
I love him. I think after that too, we're gonna set up a Heritage Cup match too, with Tony D facing Charlie Dempsey eventually.
Yeah. I mean, I think, him and Stax work really well together. Like, they have really good chemistry. I think on the main roster as a tag team, I think they would do really well. I still don't think the family gimmick will translate well, but I mean, they're good. Like, there's no denying that they're good.
No, it's a situation sort of too with like how they said in the Bray Wyatt documentary. How does it translate to the ring? They're gonna have a lot of issues with that.
Yeah, I mean, in smaller arenas, stuff like that works because when you talk about a family, that's kind of like a warm, cozy unit, I guess you would say. So, I mean, in a smaller arena, that aspect of a family translates well because there's not a lot of people there. People can get into it. But when you've got, say they're at a pay-per-view and there's 50, 60,000 people there, it's just going to, I don't know, it'll feel deflated, I think. I mean, I don't know.
It's a lot different because if with something like that, like you said, smaller arena, more intimate setting, less people, it's when you go into a bigger arena with like the 50, 60,000 people and only a handful of people are behind it, it doesn't give it that, that feel like it does in the smaller arena. It's like, only like there's 60,000 people, but only 2,000 are chanting. It's like, okay, 2,000 people are into it. It kills that whole thing for everyone.
Exactly. So next up, we had the Jada Parker and Fallon Henley match. Jada, of course, won that. Again, as we said earlier, just a hell of a worker. Fallon looked kind of weak in that match was one of the notes I had. Like I know it's wrestling, professional wrestling, but like I noticed her moves and her strikes were kind of, I don't know, they looked weak. So I guess, I don't know if it's because she was so green, but Jada just looked really dominant that match. That was really good. I honestly thought there was a chance we could see her on the main roster early, but she's got it. Like, you can tell she's got it.
She's got the in-ring. It's the character building that's lacking a little bit for me. So got to get that up there before she goes to the main roster. I think she like in-ring ability. I think she's amazing. If they want to bring her in for like a one-off battle royal or a one-off match to see how she stands up in that, that larger arena and that larger setting, main roster setting, definitely I would like to see it, but her character development is not there yet to give her a run.
So after that, we not really a result, but there was the contract signing, Lola Vice and Natalia for the NXT Underground match. How are we feeling about that glorious concept coming back?
Yay! I don't know. I lost interest in it when Shane was doing it on Raw and whatnot, Raw Underground, but
it was so bad.
I mean, if they don't mean to cut you off, but if they're going to do the underground thing leading into the pay-per-view with UFC and they end up going into like that into the octagon instead of like a ring with no ropes, I mean, that would
that's
work.
a good point because the match is tonight on part 2 of Spring Breaking, but yeah, they could have held that one off for when they were in the UFC arena and had it there. Like, that would have been rad.
A big reason why they didn't, though, is this is going to be the first women's underground match, and I think they want to get that before they go to the apex there. And I think they're using Lola Vice too, seeing she has an MMA background already.
Yep. So
wish that would lead to
and
her.
Shayna's her trainer too. I mean,
Yep.
come on.
Yep.
I wish that would lead to her and like if they get some tension between her and Shayna, at like tonight something happens or whatever, and then that leads into her and Shayna at Underground in Vegas.
You know what? That makes total sense.
Yeah,
Right.
I could definitely see that.
Yeah, that makes total sense. That's it. So right after that, we had the match of the night.
Jesus H. Christ!
The beach bash with Sol Ruka beating Blair Davenport.
I love Sol Ruka, but what a terrible concept.
I'm knocking people out with styrofoam. Yay!
Yeah, I'm chucking a beach ball off the head.
And there was even a spot into a ball pit.
I was just about to say, I would love to get thrown into a ball pit, but then why did she have to throw the surfboard on her and like fake surf?
As I say, I had better spots in ball pits with like my friends at Chuck E. Cheese when I was little than that.
I know, right?
I thought it was really cheap too that they for the picnic table they just used the picnic table legs with a regular tabletop.
Yeah.
I knew as soon as that match started, though, that was like the one thing I knew, like when everyone was coming out, that was the first thing I noticed was the picnic table. I was like, yep, somebody's going through that.
Yeah, and they put it through the surfboard too.
Yeah.
God, it was just awful.
So I hate
could have been
better.
better.
Blair Davenport's last match in NXT.
Oh. Well, I don't think they'll do it. Yeah. True.
It is.
Back to next week. Yep.
Yep. That's not a good. That for me, that wasn't a good send off. When she got spoiler, she got drafted last night. I was like, oh man, give her one more match to redeem that crap.
One thing that's interesting, I just thought of this just now, was right after this, there was that backstage promo with the tag teams, and the Good Brothers said that they were sick of teams trying to come to NXT to take the tag titles, but they got drafted, so it doesn't matter anymore. Not like they're going to do anything with them, but so earlier in the night there was a promo with Lexus and Baron involving a gift basket, and then later on in the night a match with Lexus King and Baron Corbin, where Baron put Lexus over. Pretty good match. I mean, I was pretty impressed with it. I liked it, and since Baron was going out anyway, I guess it makes more sense why he put him over. I could have seen that one going a different way if he was staying, but looking back now, it makes more sense why he put King over on his way out. So good on him.
Yeah, watching it, I was very surprised watching it, but he won.
Yeah, when I first saw that he lost, I was like, okay, now we know Braun's gone. And why are they making him lose? Like making him look like he didn't just dominate the tag division for like the last couple months before they lost the titles, pushing him back into that broke Baron Corbin thing where he just starts losing and losing.
Yep.
But now I look back on it after the draft and all that stuff, and I'm like, oh, okay, makes sense.
So the final match of the night, of course, Trick is now finally the NXT championship. He is the champion, defeated Illa. So thoughts on the match? To me, the match felt a bit too short.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it did.
It seemed it was a good match. Like both of them can go. Trick is hella talented, but I don't know. Just it felt short. It was his time to move up anyway. So and Trick is so over. It made sense. What's interesting now is that Carmelo's gone too. So now I'm kind of starting to think, who's he going to feud with?
Unpopular opinion. I am still not behind Trick Williams as champion.
Really?
He's good in the ring, but I'm just not buying into his character. I'm just not buying into him being a champion yet. But that's just me. It was a good match. I want to see where they go with it. What Shawn Michaels can build from here with Dragunov leaving, Carmelo Hayes leaving, but I'm just not behind it yet. I'm giving it, I'm going into it with an optimistic point of view, but just not there yet.
I mean, of the talent now that's kind of getting built up, I could see either Lexus King or Shawn Spears. Since he didn't get drafted, those two would make a good first feud, I think.
Shawn Spears, I would love to see, step up and take the reins of NXT until they build someone to, actually for me to care about.
And it would help build him more to move him up to the main roster eventually. I've always been, I mean, even back when he was Ty Dillinger, I've always loved that character. He's super talented. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm super behind it.
Yep.
So moving on to SmackDown, kicking off the first night of the draft. We'll cover the draft results at the end, but just to cover the matches, the LWO defeated the Legado del Fantasma. Braun Breaker defeated Cedric Alexander, if you would call that a match. Naomi faced Tiffany Stratton. Naomi won by a shaky finish. Cody Rhodes defeated Carmelo Hayes in his debut. So I guess, you know, to start the night off. Now we'll save that for the draft. Roman removing himself from the draft, that was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
The contract signing with Cody and AJ. How do we feel about that? Kind of awkward. It was almost like they were with each other.
Yeah. It was very lackluster. I understand the mutual respect they have for each other, all of that, you know, over the years. They both came from almost, even though Rhodes has the family name, they both, you know, came up almost the same way, you know, building their characters on their own. And then
for those who may not be familiar outside of WWE, both Bullet Club guys. Yeah.
Yep. And then, but they both built their character on their own outside of WWE because, you know, we know Cody had like the Stardust and all that stuff, but that fell off. You know, no one really cared that much about those characters. He left WWE, built himself up, came back as like this superstar. And they both had that same kind of, you know, build up of their characters, but that whole,
you know,
they're trying to create
Dusty used to use the Stardust name. I learned that watching a documentary the other day.
Really?
Yeah. Had no idea.
They're trying to create tension while still maintaining respect. I've sort of noticed, but personally myself, I'm not. I liked AJ Styles when he was way back in TNA more than his character right now. And this is a very unpopular opinion, but I like Dashing Cody Rhodes a lot better than the American Nightmare.
It was
Can
a good
you mute
gimmick.
his mic? I'm not a fan of that opinion. I'm just playing.
No, that's okay. As I said, that's an unpopular opinion. That's why I said it ahead of time. It's just I liked him in Legacy and going into Dashing Cody Rhodes way back.
Even Cody Rhodes probably wasn't a fan of Dashing Cody Rhodes.
Oh, so. I don't think anyone was. Or undashing Cody Rhodes too was like the worst. Dashing Cody Rhodes, I do have to say, was better than Stardust. So
yes.
So the next match, the LWO match, was a pretty good match, but the ending was what was really interesting, revealing that Carlito attacked Dragon Lee. Where do we go from here with that?
But I'll talk about this when we get into the draft, but there's some holes in that whole LWO story and the draft, and I just don't understand it.
Cool. So we've got some potential there.
I thought the heel turn was very weird too, because it didn't look like Carlito wanted to attack Dragon Lee and Ray in the ring, but he's like, I have to now that they just saw the footage because I don't want them to jump me. So it's sort of a weird way they played that off. I thought
threw Dragon Lee at Rey Mysterio.
Yeah. Man had some bad apples that day or something. I don't know.
As I think he just wanted to be in that WrestleMania match when it was all said and done. He didn't really want to turn on the LWO.
So we
just sitting there. She's like, "But why?" Like, come on.
We have some potential there, I think. I've always liked Carlito, so I don't know. He's just cool to me. I like his gimmick. I'm excited to see where they go with that. And I think a match with him and Dragon Lee would actually probably be pretty cool. I'm down for it.
Definitely.
So after that, we had Braun Breaker versus Cedric Alexander in a spear squash match in probably less than 30 seconds, I would guess.
Yeah, roughly. He speared him. That was it.
Hopefully,
Cedric didn't get with the jackhammer. I mean,
that would have been so funny.
Hopefully, Cedric keeps his job too, because the last two defeats for Braun Breaker's defeated have not had a good result after the match.
No. And then we went into Naomi and Tiffany Stratton, of course, where Nia interrupted, and there's a lot of ways they could go with that. I would really like to see a Naomi, Tiffany Stratton, Bayley, Nia Jax 4-way match, like a no DQ match. I think that would be the bee's knees.
The one thing that's, and I'm not going to spoil anything that we talk about with the draft, but the draft originally, when they were doing it, was no one knew where they were going.
Yeah.
They're not playing that off very well anymore.
No.
It's like Carmelo Hayes showed up on SmackDown right after he got drafted. Nia Jax shows up on SmackDown after she gets drafted.
Mm-hmm.
They're not even on SmackDown, so why are they there?
The only ones that seemed random, again, spoiler, were the NXT ones in the PC. Like, they seemed surprised.
Well, from what I've read, is they don't know that they're getting drafted. They're just they're hoping. And when they hear their names for the first time, that's when they find out, like the rest of us with the NXT guys. Well, most of them except Carmelo Hayes, obviously.
So after this match, I mean, it's interesting to look at the draft outcome on that one for sure.
The best way for them to do it would be to have all the guys sitting in the back like they used to for the draft, and then you can come out so everyone's there, and it makes it look like it's truly a surprise.
Yep.
It was. I'll have some thoughts.
I do like how this match ended, so it ends up leading into a triple threat instead of just Naomi.
Yes, the right after that, I mean, that was one of my favorite parts. Of course, it set up the triple threat match for Backlash, Bayley, Naomi, and Tiffy. But the part I liked the most was that Teddy Long announced a tag match for Backlash with the Bloodline versus Kevin Orton, Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. Like, it had to be Teddy Long. It had to be.
Yeah,
I think for that match though, they can't just have it be a regular tag match. I'm hoping on Friday they announce that it's a street fight or something. That's just
Bloodline
too much
rules.
Bloodline, something like that. There's just too much bad blood between those two tag teams to just have a strict regular one fall match.
And the loser goes 1-on-1 with the Undertaker
at WrestleMania 41.
Yes. Yeah, there's a lot they could do with that. That could be a good debut for Jacob. I mean, interfering, because that's kind of how Bloodline goes. Is somebody has to interfere. Usos aren't going to do it, so that could be a good time for Jacob to show up.
And the rumors are that Jacob was going to show up at any time now. They're going to bring him out as fast as possible. Backlash is going to probably be that spot.
That was supposed to be like last week. They said it was going to be at one of the shows last week, and that never happened. And then the last match of the night, you guys can weigh in on your thoughts. To me, a kind of awkward match, as we saw with the double diving elbows off the rope.
They were both going for the Cody cutters.
Yeah.
And they both missed like dumbasses. I did legitimately get worried that Cody hurt himself again. When he landed and grabbed his shoulder, I was like, oh, not again, not another person injured. So,
I wasn't sure if that was a sell or if that was an injury, and I was like, "Oh my God, we don't need any more of these. We've had enough."
Yep.
It was a good match, though. I mean, Carmella is super talented. I know a lot of people on the main roster may not watch a lot of NXT stuff, but Carmella was a great champ in NXT. Tremendously talented, great with promos. Like, he's very believable with his feuds. Like, he has a lot of potential. Calling him up was the right move, I think.
I'm a huge fan of Carmelo, not only because he's like from 10 minutes down the road from me, but because he's from Worcester. So, I'm excited. I hope they give him a mid-card push, feud for the or the US title, because that's SmackDown mid-card. But yeah, I'm very well behind that.
So scrolling into the next event, we're looking good on time. Raw last night, Gunther defeated Xavier Woods. Sami Zayn defeated Big Bronson Reed by DQ with Chad Gable's interference. Candice LeRae defeated Maxine Dupree. Liv Morgan defeated Nia Jax. Awesome Truth defeated Alpha Academy. And kind of an interesting, quick little tag match at the end. An odd main event choice. Andrade, Jey Uso, and Ricochet defeated the Judgment Day. So, I mean, let's see. We opened with the Logan Paul showing up. He had a nice presence last night. Becky had a good presence. So the first match, Gunther and Xavier, a pretty good match. Gunther is still super dominant. Man doesn't need a belt to be dominant. He's still he has so much presence.
I love this submission at the end. I was starting to get to the point where, I started thinking no one in WWE wins by submission anymore. But then there we are.
Because if you look here, I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4 pinfall victories, 1 DQ, 1 submission, and I can't remember the last submission win. It just doesn't happen much anymore.
Yeah, and if you
especially with faces tapping too, you don't see baby faces tap out at all. Pretty much ever since, I know it's Stand and Deliver Live or Valkyria did, but that's just a rarity nowadays.
Yeah.
So after that, we had the Logan Paul segment with him and that speed guy making some draft picks, talk smack about Jey Uso, and then of course Braun returned. Very exciting.
Yep. Didn't expect it there though.
Which is confusing to me.
Yeah. Some interesting thoughts.
Because he started like pretty much a feud with Logan Paul and stuff right there. And if they're gonna bring him with the Wyatt Six, that just fucked it up. Or sorry, watch my language. That just screwed it all up.
Exactly. Yep.
I got a theory about that, and this would be extremely disappointing. I hope it's not true. There's 5 members of the Final Testament. Is he just going to get added to the Final Testament after all this? I really hope it's not true. But
oh Jesus! No.
I mean, not to discuss other promotions too much, but I mean, look at how Brody Lee came in AEW. And took over the order. I mean, that could happen with Bo.
Oh, howdy.
I mean, it could be done. I don't know. I feel like the storyline has to have some build up to it. And him just coming over and taking over would be kind of weak, I think.
Well, that's what I think too. But I don't know with what I've seen them doing on the promos the past few weeks, and there's 5 of them already there. It just I got a bad feeling.
Real quick hit on that. I think they're going to bring Uncle Howdy in with Alexa, and then they're going to start recruiting those other people. They're going to like they did back with, Matt Hardy or with Randy Orton, where they brought them into that whole thing. So into the Wyatt family. I think they're going to do that. Come in, basically tell Braun, this is your history. This is where you came from. You have to come back and build it up from there.
And Bliss is ready to return, so I mean, it could happen.
They need that long time storytelling with that angle, not just bring everyone in right off the bat, and then everyone after a month will lose interest.
Yeah, no doubt. So right after that, Bronson and Sammy, of course, the Chad Gable moment. I mean, pretty interesting. I would definitely like to see that set long term. A 3-way with Sammy, Bronson, and Chad Gable winning the belt. That's where I'd like to see that payoff go for that.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing when I watched that when Chad Gable came out. I was thinking, okay, I was hoping they would announce the triple threat for Backlash, but there's already the women's triple threat. You can't have too many of the same gimmick matches in the same paper or premium live event. So that's going to be one of those that goes into probably SummerSlam. Or Money in the Bank.
After WrestleMania, though, they did a fatal 4-way match Monday night, and then 2 triple threat matches, I believe, on SmackDown after that. So they could be gearing into that.
Yeah,
you could see it announced maybe on Friday or something like that.
But I mean, after this match, my highlight of the night: Drew McIntyre and CM Punk chasing each other around the building.
That was amazing. That was probably one of the best things I've seen in a while. Or
it really was.
Now that we don't have the bloodline, this is the most interesting storyline that's going right now. Yep. And I don't know if you saw it social media, while CM Punk was running upstairs to go back down towards the ring, he ran into a little girl that had a sign that said CM Poop on it. And he actually stopped and signed her sign and took pictures with her and her friends. It was so great. God.
It's funny you say that. I saw a thing online too where he was signing T-shirts, and then one of Drew McIntyre's shirts came up with the checklist on the back, what he was wearing around WrestleMania. And CM Punk, he saw his face, and then he still signed it anyway.
He put the X next to win the title at WrestleMania or something, and he was like, "No, CM Punk."
Oh my gosh, that is fantastic.
I want to know who got that signed picture that CM Punk put in that box too, that Drew crinkled up. I would love to get my hands on that because I know Drew's not taking it, so someone's getting that.
That'll be on eBay tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh, you know it. Yeah.
You guys see the Rocks trash can online there that they were trying to sell?
No.
From the Chicago show Monday Night Raw where he beat up Cody. Yeah, they were trying to sell it for $10,000 on Facebook Marketplace. I don't know if it was legit or not, but it looked like the same one.
Oh my Jesus, that's ridiculous. People will sell anything.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know it. You know they will. Okay, I pulled some. I'm going to pull some stills. I pulled that social media video, and I'm actually going to pull some of those stills in and patch that in here because that's pretty freaking funny. So after that, Candice LeRae and Maxine Dupree, again, some cracks in Alpha Academy there.
Yep. Maxine Dupree still, to me, is not ready for a main roster. She's still too green to me. Her selling, her facial expressions don't match what's going on in the ring. And she annoys me.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, look what she started and where she is now. I mean, she's not had a good go. Nope. That's for sure.
If you've noticed too, when they come back from commercials, sometimes like you'll see them, they look comfortable in the ring. She looks nervous when they come back from commercials, and she doesn't know she's on air yet. I've caught that a few times.
Yeah, I caught that last night.
Interesting. Okay.
I think also too we're going to see Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell now start a feud with Piper Niven and Chelsea Green, seeing they're going to the same brand.
Yeah.
Not to jump ahead, but seeing we're on them.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm gonna pull something in real quick because I had not seen that until you mentioned that. But that is probably the most adorable thing I think I've seen in a minute. Hang on.
Yep.
What?
And he was still, as he was running to the elevator to go downstairs towards the ring, he was still cracking up, and he looked at somebody. He's like, CM poop.
Oh my gosh. And that little girl has on a McIntyre shirt. That's the best part.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. So leading into Liv Morgan somehow defeating Nia Jax.
Terrible match.
Yep.
I don't know
no
what
chemistry
the point
between
that
the two of them.
Not believable. Yeah. I mean, just not. I don't know. I didn't get into it. Oh, to touch on earlier, one of the promos we mentioned this, but the Jey Uso promo and Liv and Dominic coming out of the same room. A lot of theories there.
You see Liv walk down the hallway, and then like 2 seconds later, you see Dom right behind her.
And they're going to the same place too.
Yeah.
It's almost like she was the pretty girl in high school, and they just did something, and she said, "Okay, I'm going to leave first, so nobody sees me. My friends don't see me with you," or something.
Yeah.
I wonder if we're going to have a custody of Dom ladder match between Rhea and Liv.
Who's mommy?
Custody of Dom.
Yeah, you can put him in the cage like they had Jericho on top of the ring, and whoever frees him gets him.
Oh my God. The shark cage. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wasn't that a thing with like Shark Week or something? That was a long time ago. That was so funny.
Yeah, it was the Royal Rumble, I believe, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. That was ridiculous.
So after Nia Jax, of course, Awesome Truth defeated Alpha Academy. More rapping as well. They're letting Miz get some lines in now, so that's pretty cool. To kind of play off something else, you all watched the WWE Most Wanted Treasures show on A&E. Did you see the one with the Miz in it from Sunday? Oh,
yeah, I saw parts of it. Yeah,
he's such a dick in real life, and he played his character in the show when he was trying to buy stuff from people. It was amazing. So a good match there, and then of course we ended with the weird tag match: Andrade Uso Ricochet defeating Judgment Day. Kind of felt thrown together, I guess.
Yeah.
But
Ricochet in the main event, I mean, when was the last time that's happened?
Yeah, I'm glad he's getting a push.
Yeah.
I got. You can.
I can't think of the last time he was in a main event, but I like the presence he's getting on Speed. I hope he wins. Fingers crossed. And being in a main event, it's a good week to be Ricochet.
I think this is another theory of mine that I got too. If they're gonna reunite Jay and Jimmy Uso, I don't think they end Priest's championship run this early. But what if this Saturday, seeing Jimmy has cost Jay 2 championship matches, Jimmy comes out and helps Jay win the championship to reunite both of them?
I like that.
Yeah. But I thought this. I was thinking something along those lines, but was like Jimmy's injured, so I don't know if they would put him in that spot.
I mean, they could make it a careful spot, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. Comes out braced up or something like that. There's a way they could do it. It would be cool. I hadn't thought about that. Like that's a good idea. I dig it. So the moment of triumph here. Some overall thoughts before we get into the actual picks. I'm going to name off some of the people who were actually making the draft picks. Both brands have GMs, so I'm still 1 point not entirely sure why the GMs didn't do it. But so we had Triple H, Cody, Michelle McCool, Bubba Ray, Teddy Long, Tori, Devon, JBL, Stephanie McMahon, Show Speed, JBL again, Teddy Long, Bubba Ray, Logan Paul, Ron Simmons, Alundra, and then the last picks of last night, the GMs finally showed up. Very odd, I think.
The most cringeworthy moment of every single one of those was when the Dudleys had to go through every one of their catchphrases.
Last night, they went through all of them.
Yeah. It's like, why did he tell Devon to get the tables when it was already set up? I mean, when they walked out with it.
Yeah. I was hoping someone was going to go through it. Like someone was going to come out unhappy about where they got drafted to, and they would put them through the table.
Yeah.
The table was gone already by the time the next match the first competitor came out.
Yep.
Triple H saying "yeet" was a highlight. But yeah, I mean, let's look at it. Let's get some thoughts on what we have here.
Before we get into like the draft, who actually was drafted, just thoughts, people that declared to not be drafted. Or weren't drafted. It gives, for me, like Jimmy Uso, Roman Reigns, bloodline, it gives them the opportunity when they come back to be free agents.
Roman Reigns removed himself from the draft.
Yep.
Paul Heyman said,
which would leave them as in storyline purposes as free agents when they come back.
Mm-hmm.
So they can go to any brand. They can, pick where they want to go. I think it leaves a lot of open things for those people that weren't in the draft or declared to not be in it or were not in it because they were injured. Like, I think it gives that option.
I feel
because
bad.
Seth Rollins is injured and they still drafted him. So
I just noticed this. I put this list together this morning, and the last pick of the entire draft was Odyssey Jones, and I forgot to put him on the list. That's how forgettable he's become. But he went to Raw. He's not on this list, but he went to Raw. So one interesting note on that is that I went to the Cage Match website and pulled him up because I was curious what he's been up to, and he's been regularly competing in WWE. He's been working house shows like regularly. He's been he's been traveling, working live events, house shows. Like he's been regularly working with the company. So maybe getting called up now, they're actually going to use him. I don't know.
Huh. Him and Big Bronson Reed's feud. Let's go.
Because you got to look at all the big guys that ended up on Raw: Bronson Reed, Braun Strowman, Braun Breaker, Odyssey Jones. I mean, some very interesting ones. First, let's cover the NXT picks. To Raw, Dijak, Dragunov, Kiana James, Valkyrie, Natalia. SmackDown picked up Blair Davenport, Carmelo Hayes, and that's it. So Raw got a lot of NXT picks.
Yeah.
I was very surprised with Kiana James and Blair Davenport getting picked. I like Kiana James. I'm happy she got picked. I think she needs to lose the purse, though. Start carrying a briefcase now that you're up on the main show.
Yep.
Maybe they'll make her a GM.
Yep.
If you're going to be in the 1%, now that you're on Raw, grab a briefcase.
Yep.
But my hope was Imperium to go to Raw because I think Gunther would be a good world champ. I didn't see him taking the belt off of Cody, but putting him on Raw, I think opens him up for that. And I see a lot of great competitors for the world championship now. I mean, Braun Breaker, Gunther, CM Punk. I mean, a lot of people that I see in that picture, Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, Seth Rollins still over there. So I think they can write some really good stories for the World Heavyweight Championship with where they are now.
My biggest disappointment storyline wise was Vinci going to SmackDown. Because I was expecting him to stay on Raw.
Yeah,
Dragunov to come in and join Imperium. But now looking at it, I'm thinking Dragunov is with Imperium. They're going to have to try to figure out a way for him to feud with Imperium and not join them. Because what else are you going to do? Who else is Imperium going to feud with other than like the Judgment Day?
That would have been the perfect feud, is for them to be beating up on Vinci and Dragunov comes in to help out, and boom, feud set up. I mean,
exactly.
Because you can't really have them show up and him just be like, "Hey, Walter, remember me?" I mean, stranger things have happened. I mean, but I don't know. I don't see it.
Maybe Imperium.
I mean, that's what you want in the end. That's the feud you want.
Yeah.
Maybe Imperium will be the new Legado del Fantasma feuding with the LWO too.
Oh,
I don't know.
I don't know. To me, that feud just felt so typecast. It's like here's these two Hispanic factions. Let's have them feud with each other. Like, I don't know. I'm glad they split it up because I don't want to watch them fight anymore.
That's exactly what I thought when they drafted them to different. I was like, thank God. I was like, they need to push these the Mexican wrestlers, the luchadors, against more than just other luchadors.
Yeah, exactly.
Now they have that opportunity, which I think is going to be great.
One of my looking over at SmackDown, one of my picks that I was really excited about was seeing Randy Orton move to SmackDown, because my top feud I want for Cody Rhodes is with Randy Orton.
And what they're already starting, though, his first night now, this coming Friday, we have the RKO show, which is, that whole tag team right there is going to be huge.
Oh, RKO will be, I mean, the shirts are going to print themselves. I wasn't the biggest fan of Riddle and Orton. I know a lot of people like that.
They're printing money with that tag team.
Yeah,
they're printing their own money right there.
But the SmackDown roster, I mean, I definitely feel like Raw got the better picks.
Yeah.
Another thing with this draft too, I don't like them drafting someone to the brand that's already there. We don't need that. I don't think. Just have them as undrafted, stay where they are. The only picks that should be made are guys that are moving. We don't need to have someone stay on the same brand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's somebody I saw on Reddit. Somebody did a list of the actual drafts that happened, the actual changes, and it was very small.
Yeah, there was only a few.
Yeah. So over on SmackDown, I mean, it's definitely not the better picks. I mean, some good ones for sure, but I don't know. There could be some good feuds there. I mean, and that's kind of what you want to look at is your tag teams that you got. Your people to feud with your mid card titles and people to feud with your main titles. So I don't know, a number of ways that could go from here.
The one thing that I noticed about, like you mentioned earlier, the big guys that got drafted to Raw, it seems like a lot of the bigger guys got drafted to Raw and a lot of the smaller guys are now on SmackDown. And it just, to me, gives more realistic matches.
Yeah.
Because seeing small guys, step up and like the Nia Jax match with Liv Morgan, it didn't make sense that Liv Morgan beat her the way she did. So I think SmackDown is going to have more realistic matches now with, smaller guys going up against smaller guys. And
I do think that it'll be good for Pretty Deadly. I mean, there's not a lot of tag teams here. I think Pretty Deadly will shine. DIY will shine. But other than that, I mean, you have the Bloodline, the OC, and the Pride. So it'll be interesting to see where the tag teams go from here as well. Looking at the list.
Yeah.
But of those, I mean, some good potential there.
I'm still not a fan of Baron Corbin and Braun Breaker getting drafted to different shows.
Right? That was weird.
Yeah.
I don't know why that would have happened. That was, I mean, unless they just want Braun to get pushed as a single star and have him kind of break out of being a tag team star. But I think that would have been a way to get him more over with the crowd, is for people to see them two work together because they have good chemistry. And then he branches off and does his thing.
Yeah. Yep. 100%.
So looking at the SmackDown roster, who are your top picks to feud with Cody from here?
Hands down, Randy Orton for me. That's the one I've wanted to see.
Yeah.
Wanted to see since he's got the title at Mania, but I know we're not going to get that right off the bat.
No, they're going to make us wait,
because that's a real threat to Cody and his belt. So we're not going to get that right off the bat.
I want to see them push Andrade more.
Yeah.
Because I've been a fan of him for a long time, and then AEW dropped the ball with him, and now that he's back, I want to see him actually take take something.
He's good with a mouthpiece, but Zelina's over on Raw now, so he's gonna. I mean, he'll probably have to do it on his own. I wouldn't mind seeing him as a Paul Heyman guy, but it seems like the bloodline's gonna persist. So
he's gotten better. Like towards the end of his AEW run, he was getting better with his English. So if he's been practicing, he might be able to be, decent on promos. Because if you've ever seen I've watched some of his promos and with subtitles, from back in the day, and he's really good on the mic. He's really good cutting promos. It's just appeasing to to the American English speaking crowd, because a lot of people don't understand what he's saying.
That is an interesting point. I can tell you, because I'm bilingual. I speak English and Spanish. So watching his promos in natural Spanish, he's very good in cutting promos, in delivery and what he says and all that. Like, his natural Spanish promos are very good. So translating that charisma to English, I think there's something that could be there.
Yeah.
Oh, LA Knight is on SmackDown too. I mean, he'd be able to shine now that he's not buried out with all the other guys over on Raw now. So I think I've been saying for a while, no, this time it's finally LA Knight's time. No, this is finally LA Knight's time. It's never LA Knight's time.
I think him and Cody would have a good feud back and forth, especially cutting promos against each other, because their one-liners both of them have great, quick one-liners. And I think that would be entertaining, even though we know LA Knight's never going to win. But
never. It's not going to happen. I don't know what they have against him. I don't understand it. But there's definitely more potential there.
I think it's his age.
So Nia Jax is over on SmackDown.
Yep.
And is away from Liv now. Interesting. Okay. But Tiffany Stratton's on SmackDown. I'm trying to think of women's feuds too. I'd like to see Blair Davenport being the only female NXT pick on SmackDown. Could be good for her too. Help her shine a little bit. Because the other ones are over on Raw. So that could be good for her. Chelsea Green, I like seeing where she's at. Very excited for her future. I think it continues at Money in the Bank, honestly.
Yeah.
Singles
push.
Yeah, if Tiffany doesn't win, though, Tiffany could win Money in the Bank too.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that Becky is a transitional champ for now. Bailey, I think, will have it for a little bit longer. I don't see her going anywhere.
I don't want them doing Bailey dirty anymore.
Yeah.
They've done her dirty too much. I mean, not only with the championships, but with just like looking at WrestleMania. She was, won the Royal Rumble, but they didn't even have her on the WrestleMania poster. It was like, why? Everyone hated her. She was great as far as a heel, and now she's doing good as a face again. But they just dropping the ball with her.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, She needs to be on TV more. Not much presence for her. I mean, honestly, neither of the women's champs have had as much presence as I feel like they should. So I definitely think there should be more. Cody as a champ cuts a lot of promos. Damian Priest just kind of like hangs out in the background. I don't feel like he's being as present as he could be. He needs to be out there being dominant and cutting promos. The women's tag teams, half the time I forget who they are, who has those belts, or that they still exist.
They'll be more prevalent with Jade and Bianca winning them.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. I think they're gonna win also, without a doubt.
I'm pretty sure because they want to put Jade over. So I mean, that they want to get a belt on her like ASAP, and they don't like Bianca not having one. I mean, she always has one, so I think it's just a no-brainer that they're gonna win. It's inevitable.
Yeah.
Logan Paul, of course, a part-time champ. Sammy's been a good IC champ. He's regularly present as well, but I think Chad's going to take it off of him, and I'm really excited to see what he does with the belt. Hopefully brings back the white strap.
Brings back the old Cody Rhodes, like a 90s nugget intercontinental title with the white strap.
Yeah, so I originally thought Chad Gable would be a better U.S. champ because he's kind of like, he has that gimmick, but I don't know. I think he could run with the IC. I see potential there too.
Yep.
I was surprised they didn't make Cody. I was surprised they didn't make Cody the U.S. champ at some point with his gimmick before the title reign he had. I thought it would have fit perfectly.
I think it's just that he was destined to become the top champ. They weren't going to dick around with a minor title with him.
Yeah, I think with that would the fact that he would have to lose that title before he could win the world title, and losing a mid-card title makes him look weak.
It's not a good look. No,
to win the world title unless they were going to push him to carry both. I would have loved to have seen him holding it, because with his whole gimmick with the red, white, and blue and all that stuff would have been great. But
I thought they could have had Priest cash in on him too. I think that would have been a way to not like have a major loss to hit on him.
The heat. I think people would have rioted. Like there would have been throwing stuff in the ring, and oh man, it would have been like when Hogan turned heel. The heat of a Priest cash in, there would be so much trash in that ring.
Yep.
Because you finally got that moment. Another
cashed in on the U.S. title.
Another note I have is what do we think they're going to do with Dijak on Raw?
I don't know. I definitely could have seen him getting called up, but I'm very curious to see how they go with this. Are they going to have him maybe feud with Braun Breaker or Sheamus? Maybe that's maybe a good start there.
Yeah, I'd say Sheamus would be a good start to see where he's at.
Dijak is a Massachusetts guy as well. His build is from Worcester, but he's from Lunenburg, Massachusetts.
Yep, him and Carmelo Hayes from Worcester.
Interesting. I mean, they could. A lot. It's not unheard of to change people's, origins and stuff like that. They could bill him and Dragunov is from Russia, and maybe those two pair up at some point. I mean, they could rewrite it. I don't know. A lot.
And feud with Imperium.
Yeah. I mean, that's an option. I'm just glad he's not T-Bar anymore.
I know, right?
That was the worst faction I think I could in recent memory. Retribution, just not good.
I was watching the other day back during the pandemic when they debuted, and the fact that they debuted and pushed that the night after WrestleMania, was like the worst Raw after Mania ever.
Yeah. So I'm definitely not a fan. Okay, so the Final Testament is over on Raw. They were cutting some promos about being dominant on NXT as well. I mean, on Spring Breakin'. So I really have no direction for them. They would be so hard to write. Like, I don't know what you would do with them. They seem like they'd be better in NXT personally.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I thought they were going to stay there see what they do. But just like I thought Natalya was going to stay down in NXT.
Yeah. So she'll probably lose this match to put Lola over and then come back up, I bet.
Yeah, probably.
I think they're going to have a lot of cross-brand people, though, because they're going to really want to push that viewership for NXT, because the landscape has drastically changed, as we've seen just this past week with the draft. I think that's going to get more people time on Level Up, too, that hasn't before, without a doubt, because we'll be able to start pushing those people onto the regular show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. So I hope that a lot of these NXT guys don't become jobbers. I could see them potentially jobbing Dijak, Kiana James. I mean, I hate to say it, but Carmelo, if they don't do him right, because you can think that there's been big talent that's come up and just jobbed. So I'm hoping with Triple H in control, I think that'll be the better factor for NXT call ups because Vince never seemed to know what to do with them.
Well, with Carmelo Hayes, they teased or did a little thing that we're now supposed to forget about when Carmelo came up to and supposedly signed with SmackDown last year.
Right.
And
Braun
he did like one match.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah. And now we're supposed to forget that never happened.
Yep.
And be like, oh, now he's on SmackDown. Yay.
You want to talk about forgetting something too? It looks like Carmelo's a face all of a sudden after he's been one of the biggest heels in NXT after turning on Trick. It's like we all forgot about that one night. Like I just don't get how it
remember
like
you.
That. Yeah,
we see you.
I got my eyes on you, dude.
He's gonna be a snake.
Yep.
I think with the Final Testament, as you were saying before too, I think you're going to see the AOP still very active in NXT.
Yeah,
even though the Final Testament's in Raw, you could see Ivar being down there too, doing both shows. It's same thing with Natalia. I don't think that's going to change up much, even though their supposed brand has changed. I don't think their role in the company is going to change that much.
No.
Oh, even going back to the big guys we were talking about on Raw, Bronson Reed, Braun Strowman, Braun Breaker, Ivar, another big guy on Raw as well. So there's a lot of big dudes that can have some things happening.
I want to see Braun and Braun in the ring together.
Just
so I can see the freaking.
I'm sure we'll get that.
Use their shit. Braun suplexes Braun. Oh crap! Which one?
You'd have to have a ring break spot for that, though. I mean, you'd have to do something big.
Yeah.
Even do a triple threat with say for example someone like Sheamus or something like that, another hard hitter. He's not as big as them, but
Braun and Otis, or Braun and Bronson.
Yep. Otis could be going to singles too after the State of the Alpha Academy.
Wouldn't mind seeing Otis and Bronson Reed.
Looks like he's going to turn on Gable any second.
Oh, it's coming.
Otis and Bronson Reed, neither one of them can freaking lift their arms like this.
No, it would be a disaster.
They're like,
I feel like they really dropped the ball with Otis because he was over for so long, and then the storyline with Mandy, his peach, and
yep. I was even buying into him as Otis. The male model Otis.
It's been so many things that they could have done with him, and I feel like the ball's been dropped so many times. The Money in the Bank case, like he's so entertaining though.
Yeah,
and people love him. So tonight is spring break-in night 2. Pretty exciting about that. Who do we have tonight? I haven't even looked at the card yet, but should be some pretty decent matches tonight. Underground match. Trick Williams is supposed to be there. Tyson DuPont and Tyreek will debut against the OC. Thea Hale and JC Jane. Ridge Holland versus Sean Spears. Oba Femi versus Ivar. Good Lord, for the NXT North American Championship. And the Supersonic Duo against AOP for the NXT World Tag Team Championships. So some pretty good matches tonight.
I think you could definitely see the AOP take the belts off them. I know they haven't had it for long, but I could definitely see that happening because you haven't seen Nathan Frazier and Axie.
Yeah, I mean
too much since they've had the belts.
Yeah.
So we'll catch up. We'll come back on Sunday and then we'll cover this week and then back to being weekly. But Sunday will be cool because we'll get to cover NXT, SmackDown, and Backlash. So that'll be pretty cool. Of course, Backlash this weekend. Friday, they're having a Backlash kickoff Friday morning. Probably just a little setup thing or something like that. But Backlash will be during the day. And I love Saturday afternoon pay-per-views because it's much easier during the day. So I'm better with that. So pretty exciting. Looking forward to that. Some good matches coming on Backlash. So Sunday we'll have a lot. Hopefully some good stuff from Backlash. I hope France gets a good one.
Yeah. So
thanks to everybody for tuning in. our audio podcast numbers have been great. A lot of people listening. So it's been really exciting seeing how many of y'all are tuning in. So we definitely want to send a thank you. We're everywhere: Overcast, Apple, Amazon, Pandora, Spotify. I mean, pretty much everywhere you want to be. So very excited to see some good numbers. Everybody tuning in. Thank you. Much appreciated. Glad to have you guys here.
Yes.
And I guess that's all I have for the week. You guys have any final thoughts before we head out?
Still disappointed Shawn Michaels didn't get drafted to Raw.
He was there too. They could have just called his name. He was there. He was ready handing out hats.
Otis's first feud as a singles competitor again. I would have been down for it.
Before we go, you guys think we're going to see Bo Dallas, Uncle Howdy this weekend, or are we going to have to wait till Clash at the Castle?
I think we're going to see it this weekend.
I think so too as well.
I think so too.
I've been loosely following kind of, I'm not as deep in it as some people are, but a lot of the numbers seem to line up for Backlash. So I think that's the sign that it's going to happen.
The big thing that I saw last night was part of the video where it actually said, "Are you ready to meet him?" Or "Are you ready to see him?" or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that pushed it to, okay, we're going to see him this weekend.
Yep.
Yeah, we might know for. You can go.
I just think it'll be interesting to see the reaction if he comes back as Uncle Howdy.
Yeah.
That's the main thing I'm curious about, is what the character is.
I think too. We might know Friday whether we're going to see him or not, because last year or a year and a half ago now, when Bray was coming back, the SmackDown before it, they had the White Rabbit thing and the date like tune in tomorrow for it. So we might know Friday if he's coming back also.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, that's the main curiosity, is when he comes back, but more so for me, what the gimmick is. Uncle Howdy, I mean, it'll be fine, I guess, because it's still connected with Bray and people know it and all that, but just, I don't see a superstar getting over as Uncle Howdy. So I don't know. I still like the idea that I've seen numerous times of it keeping the name so that people know who it is. But going as Bo Wyatt, but with Bo spelled differently.
Huh.
Wow. I haven't seen that. That's a good idea.
So an interesting thing that could happen with that. So Saturday I'll be on pins and needles. I'm ready to see what happens. I'm excited to see how this goes over.
Yes, sir.
I was gonna say, you got AJ Styles or Cody Rhodes. I see the shirt.
Yep. I was so excited. One of my favorite WWE moments. I've been an AJ Styles fan since WCW and TNA. So his debut is one of my favorite WWE moments. Like, that made my day.
I've seen that entrance from Royal Rumble. Like, I was actually just watching it the other day because he's been one of my favorite superstars, not since WCW, but since TNA.
Yeah.
And love it.
So yeah, I love AJ, anything he does. I know he's kind of on the end of his run and kind of wrapping up and stuff like that. But I mean, I love anything AJ does. Loving his work lately as a heel. Part of the big reason SmackDown was so successful in the 2018 era was because of AJ Styles. So I like that WWE is still using him. It seems like they didn't have much for him before, but I really would like to see a feud with him and Cody last longer than Backlash, because I think they'd have some great matches, and I think there's a lot of storytelling there.
Yeah.
So we will be back this weekend on Sunday night with our wrap up for the week, covering NXT, SmackDown, and of course the Backlash pay-per-view on Saturday. So make sure and tune in for that on Peacock, WWE Network, and other areas around the world. Thanks for joining us, and for those listening on the audio podcast, thanks for joining in and listening. And we will be back again on Sunday night or Saturday or Sunday afternoon. I don't know. We'll be back on Sunday. Follow our social medias. We'll tell you when we'll be back. So we'll see you guys next time.